All right, everybody, we're back with another episode of the Niner Family Huddle podcast. Today, we're talking Brandon Aiyuk. We're talking Albert Breer's comments on the coaching staff in the offseason, and we're going to add a few more players to our Niner Family Huddle big board after this. All right. Is this the last week of Brandon Aiyuk's 49er career? Chase and go. No, I'm just kidding. I do have right here, it says, so the reason why this is a topic right now is because there's a big option bonus for Brandon Aiyuk. $22.8 million is due to hit Brandon Aiyuk's bank account on April 1st. And we know the Niners are in cash savings mode right now. And if they want to save that money, if this season is all about Jed York's wallet and not about the football team, then Brandon Aiyuk is definitely getting traded. If they're going to try and find the middle ground where they can make some football moves while saving cash, Brandon Aiyuk probably stick around. But there are rumors. Cleveland is interested. New England's interested. Will the Niners get what they want? I doubt it. What do you guys think? Is there a possibility that Brandon Aiyuk gets traded for pennies on the dollar before Monday the 1st?
Yes. Just the way this offseason's gone is the theme. Cash savings, Jed's broke. We want to save him as much money as we can. So I would say yes, based on how this offseason's gone. I don't want that to happen. Depending on the deal, if we get a second or higher, I'm down, but I know we won't. So I'm not down. I think Brandon Aiyuk is still young enough and he's talented enough that we should play the long game and we should let him rehab and he can still be a good receiver. Maybe not next year, but working back next year and then maybe the year after that. So I don't really want this to happen because we are going to get pennies on the dollar. And I think it can happen. And I almost lean towards that it will happen based on how this offseason's gone.
I will be very, very surprised if it does happen. And I think Chasen kind of made the points for me. One, pennies on the dollar. They're not that desperate that they're going to get rid of him just for that. Two, I don't think they're going to get what they want, in return. But also they're not going to have a built-in replacement. It just doesn't make sense on so many levels. So no, I don't think it's going to happen. Now, I do think if a team were to call him up and say, hey, we'll give you a second for him, they'd probably take that deal.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to do that.
No.
I have a feeling that the reason that the stories have been coming out are because maybe they are trying to drum up some sort of market just to see if they can get anybody to panic and give them a Godfather offer. I don't think that's coming. I don't want him gone either, honestly. I want him to stay and prove that he can still be a producer and all that. I want him here, but even if I wanted him gone, I don't think he's going to get traded this week. I just don't see it.
You guys agree that if he does get traded, it's because it's gotten a little personal, like Jed York is upset about the deal and he just wants it gone and he doesn't care what he gets back in return for it? Because it feels like it would be an emotional move, not a football analytical move.
Which is ironic because that's what they were saying. They want to stop the emotional coach. And now it's like,
yeah,
it would be the exact opposite. So I don't really know, but I think it's just like kind of silly either way.
I don't know that I'd call it an emotional move because I can see talking yourself into why it makes sense in the more cutthroat, ruthless regime. Because it's like you got damaged goods with this injured player that you're on the hook to pay a whole bunch of money to. Yeah, he might still be good, but we don't want to take that risk. So we're going to cut bait while we can. So I don't feel like that would be emotional at all. In fact, that would feel almost more like calculating and like the smart business decision to make. And yeah, I don't know that it's personal, but if they are convinced, which we have no way of knowing, if they are convinced that he is not worth his price tag, then obviously they'll be way more motivated to move him. I just don't think they're going to get back what they need for that.
So what is the lowest you would go? I heard you both kind of say if you got a second round pick, sure, but there's no way they're getting offered that. Even a third round pick, I think they might pull the trigger, but they're not getting that either.
I could talk myself into being happy about a third round pick, but that would be kind of tough. And I know they're not going to get anything better. And a third round is probably like as good as it'll get. So anything below a third round pick, I will be very disappointed. And I'd really have to convince myself to be happy about a third rounder.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even really like a third. just to just to like think about the player that he is and what he brings to the table. I know he's coming off an injury, but I feel like he's young enough that he can't, and it's not the same type of injury that it was, in years past. Like I feel like medicine and science and everything is caught up to where this is recoverable. Like no need to panic and be like, oh man, this guy's, done for. So no, I feel like it would be giving him away for a third or a fourth.
You guys familiar with cornerback Greg Newsome, Browns?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know of him.
What about like Greg Newsome in a fifth round pick?
Well, how good is Greg Newsome and how
He's a
old
good
is he?
player.
Well, I don't think the Browns. I mean, yeah, something like that sounds better. I don't think the Browns would do that.
So the theory
Yeah.
is I think that the Browns might want to draft Shador at pick 2, and eventually they want to move on from Deshaun, and they're going to want to surround him with some weapons, and they've already got Jerry Jeudy, and maybe that's why they would want Brandon Aiyuk. They also have like a bunch, like 3 or 4 sixth round picks, so they could offer like multiple 6th round picks and a 5th round pick or something. But if the Niners do get something, that's what I think it's. If they're really willing to sell him for pennies on the dollar, it's going to be multiple day 3 picks, and if they're lucky, maybe they get a decent player in return.
I feel like the Browns would sooner give up 1/3 than give up Newsome in a fifth. But maybe I'm overvaluing Newsome. I don't know.
Maybe. Would you want Kendrick Bourne back from the Patriots in a draft pick?
No. My God.
I've heard
I would
people
be
speculate about that.
I would be down for Newsome. He's 24. He's shown a lot of potential. According to this article that I'm reading, he took a step back last year and he's had a little bit of trouble staying healthy. So I don't like the sounds of that, but he's 24. He's played pretty well. He's also in the last year of his deal, so he's going to want a contract extension as well. Sounds like something Jed would want to stay away from.
Oh man, I'm sorry if I'm losing you guys. My connection is cutting out so bad right now.
No,
Jason
you're
was
good.
really
No,
glitchy,
no.
but I kind of
We
heard
can
you.
hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
I don't know. I mean, on the flip side, yeah, he might want a contract extension, but then he's coming off the book. So it's like you try him for a year, and if it goes really well, then maybe you're willing to pay him because he's still young and has upside.
Mhm.
And if you try him and you don't like him, then away he goes and clears out the room.
That's kind of the problem, right? Is he's young. He's probably coming up on a payday, and
Yep.
right now the Niners don't want to pay anybody, and they are now paying Diamador Lenore. So,
Yeah, see, I don't buy that they don't want to pay anybody. I think they've already paid the guys that they've made a priority. I
yeah,
think
that's
they're
true.
gonna I think they're gonna pay George Kittle even more. I think they're just waiting to get the Brock deal done before they do that. You know?
Yeah, there's this stigma like the Niners just don't want to pay anybody, and that's not true. They're paying a bunch of high price guys, and we assume that they're going to pay Brock Purdy. So they're just trying to pay the right guys, but so is every team. So they're just being clearly more calculated about it. So overall final predictions is Brandon Aiyuk is getting traded for pennies on the dollar, or he's not.
Mine is yes. Steven's
Yes.
no. You got to
Mine
be our
is no.
tiebreaker.
Man, I don't know. I keep going back and forth. I think if they get a decent player that they think can help them this year and a draft pick or two on day 3, they might. Like, I just wouldn't be surprised if Jed York is frustrated and a little bitter and a little emotional, and he just says, "Get this guy out of here." It wouldn't surprise me because I don't know that he's some level-headed, football's the priority guy. To me, he's just a businessman, and if he gets owned in a negotiation, he might look for revenge and said, "Hey, Brandon, we tried to trade you to the Patriots, and you put the kibosh on that. Well, guess what? You're going to the Patriots. You have no say in the matter now." So I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm going to say ultimately he probably is not getting traded. I don't think they will, and I don't think they should. I like BA. He's a good player, even if he was kind of annoying last offseason.
Yeah.
So, Chasen, you mentioned the other day that Albert Breer wrote something about the coaching staff, and it sounded like he put some pressure on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
And I have the line right here. It says the bottom line: if they hit on draft picks and get good coaching, such as those Rams and Bills did, the Niners will be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay, yeah, every team's going to be good if they get good draft picks and good coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chasen, you mentioned it kind of sounded like it came from Jed. Do you think this is Jed putting some pressure on Kyle and John to do their jobs at a high level? So go draft the right guys, and Kyle, if you're a big-time coach, then coach the guys up and get them to produce. And I'm going to pull back the reins on the finances here this season, but we got a sorry schedule, and I'm paying you guys both a lot of money, so go win.
That's what it seems like to me. I mean, I think Steven will probably disagree, but it seems like whether it's Jed or Parag or someone in the front office is really, they're kind of playing a little power struggle through the media. That's what it seemed like. And to me, that's what this article seems like in the comment from Breer, saying like, if we get good coaching, it kind of like, it's almost like putting them in a box, like know your role. You're the coach, do the coaching. If we get good coaching, like we're going to be just fine. And it's like, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like things coming out through the media and mind games and this, that, and the other. So what do you think, Steven?
I feel like it's a lot of reading into it, like going that far. Like, to me, it just seemed like it was a very plain statement of fact. Like, football is a game of inches. You gotta get good coaching. Like, it doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like, it's all that controversial to me. But that's just the way I read it. I mean, maybe there is a little something going on back and forth. I don't think so. I was thinking about it too. Like, okay, I can read into it the other way. Like, maybe it's Breer saying, yeah, these other organizations hit on picks, but guess what they had in common? They got good coaching. They have good coaches. So don't be stupid, Jed. Know that you've got a good coach. Keep him in place. That's what you need in order to make this go well. So, you can read into it however the heck you want or use it. I didn't read into it either way, to be honest. When I saw it, I just thought it was, yep, he's right. You got to hit on picks and you got to coach them up.
Yeah. That's football analysis 101 right there. Thanks, Albert. Do you guys think the four horsemen of the 49ers apocalypse, do you think they're all on the same page? Jed, Parag, Kyle, John? Do you think they all agree on all the moves they're making and they're all pulling in the same direction? Or do you think there is some divisiveness between any of them?
I think there's always been divisiveness. I don't think that it's like even what would you say was the best year, the most harmonious year? 2019? because that was when they like surprised everybody and they were the feel good story and they made the run all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, probably.
I would bet you that they weren't in lockstep that year either. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any inside information, but I bet you some guys were more excited than others about trading for Emmanuel Sanders to bring him in to be the savior. I could see certain people in that group thinking, he's kind of washed. He's kind of over the hill. We're really going to give up a second for this guy? And I could see others like, yeah. We need something.
We're one receiver away from getting to the Super Bowl. It's like,
that's right. Yeah. So I don't think they're on the same page, and I don't know that you can ever have four people completely on the same page.
Interesting. Because it does feel like there's some divisiveness, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Typically, probably not a great thing, but the use. I keep coming back to the juice thing. That thing is so weird to me that they cut him and then brought him back. That feels like the front office was like, we're moving on, we're cutting him, and Kyle's like, please, you guys have already let so many guys go. Can I just get my Swiss Army knife back? All right, fine, we'll go get juice back. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just like play devil's advocate because I can't help myself. To me, that shows me that they're not as ruthless as they think they are because
I know.
they couldn't even part with him. So it's like, yeah, maybe it's what you said, Ryan. Maybe Kyle went and kissed the ring and fell on his knees. Maybe we don't know. Maybe Kyle was the one who wanted Juice gone. And Jed's like, oh no, he's a. I don't think so either. I'm just saying, we don't know. Like we're all speculating and guessing stuff, and it's like, if Jed or Parag or whatever was really so ruthless, then they would have been like, no, we already cut ties. You had your chance. You're gone. We've moved on. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, everything has to go through Jed, right? I would think that John Lynch has some decisions that he can just make too, but anyways, I don't know. I just feel like, honestly, that back and forth thing with him really made me feel like, yeah, they're being pretty straight up and saying, we have numbers for all you guys. We have numbers and we're not going to go across this line. And Juice was the first one to cave and like basically admit, okay, I've got it good here and I've had it good here, and so I'm going to stick it out here.
He wants to get on that 10-year wall bad.
That, and I honestly don't know that, like, if he went and got a fresh start somewhere else, that he would be what he is. Like, he is more valuable on the Niners than he would be anywhere else. And part of that is because of that history that he already has and all the equity that he's built up. And yeah, I mean, I think he needs the Niners more than they need him at this point.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Fans making noise. All right, we can probably move on from that. So I was listening to PFT the other day, and Chris Sims and Mike Florio were talking about Brock Purdy and his contract, and they were comparing him to the best quarterbacks in the sport, of course. And one thing they said to me, as if we were talking, as if I was talking to them.
You got a guest spot, huh? Wow.
Yeah, I was talking to them privately on the phone.
Big for us.
The one thing Florio asked Sims was like, does Brock Purdy have any signature plays? Or signature throws? And they were both like, no, I can't think of any. I can't think of any at all. And they were like, when you think about Mahomes or Josh Allen, and then they even went to like, Sam Darnold had that big throw against the Seahawks last year. I know Sam Darnold's signature play. And I thought,
because you're a Vikings fan and you watched every play, you dummy.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, dude, okay, you're exposing yourself as you don't watch all the games. And Sims, I think he claims he does, but we know he doesn't. I know he's Kyle's buddy and he's partial to the 49ers, but he's not watching every down of 49er football. Because I personally feel like I can think of like 4 or 5 or 6 like signature Brock Purdy, oh my god type plays off the top of my head, but that's because I've watched every play. So I was kind of curious, like, when I say Brock Purdy's signature plays, what comes to mind for you guys?
I'm blanking, but I know there are some. I think that one
Don't
where
prove
he
them
scrambled.
right.
I don't know who it was against, but I remember he was scrambling around and he threw that dart in the back of the end zone. I think he was moving to the right and Aiyuk was coming the other direction.
Chiefs.
Yeah. I remember that one being sick and
He
being
scrambled
like, holy
for like
crap.
10, 11 seconds back and forth, back and forth.
Mhm.
And then he got to the sideline, and right as he's about to throw the ball, a guy dies, and he has to pump fake. And then he throws the
Mhm.
ball and gets laid out and hits Brandon Aiyuk right in the mouth. And Aiyuk
Mhm.
can't catch the ball. And it would have been, if Patrick Mahomes makes that play, that's going on his like all-time highlight reel. It's number 1 on SportsCenter, top 10. But
Mhm.
Brock Purdy makes the play, and it's like, well, 7th round pick, guy didn't catch the ball. Who cares? Move on. That was one of the best plays I've ever seen any quarterback ever make.
Yeah, Brandon Aiyuk screwed that one up. So let's. I revised my previous statement. Let's trade him for a 6th.
I feel like there's two. There was one other play that he threw to Aiyuk. He had another incredible play that he threw to Aiyuk, and Aiyuk dropped. Aiyuk, need you to catch the ball. Another one I thought of was, do you guys remember the Bucks game last year when McCaffrey ran like a double move, quick little out and then up, and the pressure got to Purdy way quicker than it should have, and he just launched the ball really high up in the air and dropped it in perfectly? I thought that was one of the best throws he's made in his entire career.
He also made a great throw to Pearsall in that game. Hit him perfectly in stride.
For the long touchdown?
Yeah. I mean, so I know he had, I can't remember the exact play, but I know he had a couple really good plays in that, his first year in that Thursday night win over the Seahawks. He had a couple just like clutch plays.
He had a big scramble for a first down.
Yeah, might
that
have
like
even
sealed
just
the
been
game.
using his legs, right. I feel like in the playoff game against the Cowboys that we went to, that was a huge throw to Kittle, the one where Kittle bobbles it.
Yeah.
Like that was tight, like tight coverage, and he fit it right in there. I mean, it's not anything that's been like a walk-off or something like that. And that might be why they're having a hard time, without being Niner fans, placing something. I mean, the 2023, he had a long touchdown pass to Aiyuk that I thought was a beautiful throw. Like it seemed like it hit him in stride. Anyways, I think there's lots of very good signature plays, if you want to call it that. They just unfortunately haven't come like in the fourth quarter with less than 2 minutes to go. Game is on the line, and he makes a clutch throw, and that's what people remember.
In the playoff game against the Lions, I mean, it was a lot of luck, but that throw to Aiyuk that he like bobbled and ended up catching, and that was like a huge momentum play in their comeback. That's another one that comes to mind. It wasn't necessarily, I mean, it was a lot of luck, but he still ripped it down the field, and it was an insane like momentum play that eventually got them to the Super Bowl.
I was going to bring up that same game, but his scrambles in the third quarter and fourth quarter, that they were in like 3rd and long, and twice he ran for first downs that kept drives going that sealed that game.
It's just, I mean, one, like you kind of pointed out, Sims is just going a mile wide and an inch deep on the NFL because he's trying to cover the whole damn league, and it's impossible to really do it, well. So you just go with what you see. And then, yeah, Florio just being a Vikings homer, trying to make his Darnold point. Like, I couldn't tell you anything. Like, I remember Darnold played the Niners well last year, and that was the only time I saw him or cared about him. So
yeah, I mean, signature play of his was that 99-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson.
And then they showed it on SportsCenter for like the rest of the year.
All season long, yeah.
Yeah, it was so annoying. All I remember when I think of Sam Darnold last season was how disappointing the end was and how it made me feel like that whole season just didn't even count. Like it just was a fluke because of how he puttered out at the end.
Don't let the Seahawks fans hear you. They think they got their guy now.
They do.
I'll be honest. I do think he's an upgrade over Geno, but yeah, I'm not.
They do got their guy. It's going to be great watching them go somewhere between like 7 and 10 wins for the next 4 or 5 years. I'm going to be here for it.
Yeah, it's funny to me that they think they've escaped mediocrity when they've just locked themselves into it for a few more years with just a younger guy.
It's funny because some of the Seahawks fans I've talked to, they're not optimistic about it. They're like, oh gosh, like it's a step back. We're not going to be that good next year. A lot of my like friends that are Seahawks fans are not very stoked about it.
Well, those are probably people who really watch and like football and understand football.
Yeah.
I deal with people on TikTok who just, the Niners could trade Brock Purdy and a third-round pick for Patrick Mahomes, and they'd be like, oh, bad trade. They hate and they just are negative just for the sake of being negative. So
Yeah.
hey, I can't wait to play the Seahawks next year because I think the Niners are going to be better than people expect, and I think the Seahawks are going to be worse than people expect, and I think the Cardinals are going to be sneaky good too. So I will not be surprised when the Seahawks finish dead last in the division.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Not at all.
Any other Brock Purdy signature plays come to mind? It just bothered me when I heard that because I was like, man, I can think of some incredible plays that Brock has made in really important games. And even in just any old regular season game, I've seen him make incredible throws. And
he destroyed the Seahawks in his first ever playoff game. Speaking of the Seahawks, we didn't talk about that one at all.
Was there a specific play that comes to mind from that game? Because I just knew he had like 350 yards and 4 touchdowns or something.
Yeah, like in the first half. Like I think it's hard to pick a play because I think he just consistently was making really, really good plays.
He had that game against the Cardinals, I think, maybe that year or 2023, where he went like 20. He finished the game 20 for 21 or 20 for 22 or something. Like that, maybe that's a signature game, not a specific throw. But
yeah,
I feel like he tore up the Cowboys.
Too much, man.
He does get slept on a lot. He had that one game against the Cowboys where he threw like 4 touchdowns. His passer rating was like perfect.
I think 3 of them went to Kittle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a guy who shops at Kohl's. He looks like a high school teacher or something. He just doesn't inspire fear in opponents. And so no matter how good he is, people are just like, just a 7th round pick. Niners are carrying him. And I don't think people understand how good he really is.
Let's get him a contract, get him a full off season with the guys, and let's see what he's made of.
So let me ask you this kind of in response, thinking back to just some historic examples. It seems like Tom Brady is pretty universally considered the greatest quarterback of all time these days. I'd make an argument otherwise, but I won't do that here.
Fine, I guess I'll concede to that. Yeah,
he's certainly the most accomplished. I will definitely say that, and he's had the greatest career of any quarterback,
no doubt.
I have a hard time thinking of a signature play or throw by him. He engineered some great comebacks. And like some really clutch wins, but like if I think about
Amendola,
if I think about Aaron Rodgers, I think about like multiple Hail Marys that hit and everything, and it's like, it seems like the guys that are just consistently doing their job, like I would say Brady is, and making good throws on a regular basis, may not be getting in the top 10 highlights or whatever, whereas the guys that just do something incredible but maybe didn't do their job the whole game get more of the shine because of the circumstance.
That's an interesting point because Steve Young has that run against the Vikings where like when people think of Steve Young they're like, oh my god, that run against the Vikings, that's certainly a signature play of his, and that was a spectacular play and a feat of athleticism that a guy like Tom is never going to make a play like that. But he's just going to make the right throw in the right moment. And winning that game will be memorable, but it might not be like the throw or the specific play. Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm sure Brady had plenty of signature good throws.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that like when you're thinking about all-time history of like, greatest plays, there's not any immediately that jump out to me, but I don't think that should tarnish him by any stretch.
No. No. All right. Let's add 2 more guys to our big board, and then we'll call it a night. So.
This is my boy that we're going to watch.
we're gonna watch some offensive line highlights, at least a couple minutes of each one. We don't have to watch the whole thing. We'll see. Let me close that. So I got. Let's do That's bright. Let's do Will Campbell first. So I have their combine like stats kind of pulled up, and I have them. I also pulled up Trent Williams, so we have like a
Ooh.
premier tackle to compare them to.
Nice.
So Will Campbell is 6'6", 319 pounds, 32 and 5/8 inch arms, which, from what I understand, is short, and it was kind of a red flag for him at the combine that he's got short arms. Tackles typically have 34-inch arms or higher. That's what you want. Shorter arm guys project to the interior line, and he even said, "I dare anybody to find one rep on my tape where I lost because I had short arms." So he did not like that. That people were kind of taking a shot at his arm length. He ran a 4.98 40-yard dash, 1.76 10-yard split, a 32-inch vertical jump, and a 9.5 broad jump. Let's take a quick look. I'm looking at Trent Williams here. 4.88 40-yard dash, 1.72 10-yard split, 34.5-inch vertical jump, 34.25-inch arms, 315 pounds, 6'5". So a little bigger and a little faster.
He's not bigger. I thought you said Will Campbell was 6'6".
Oh, Trent is. Oh no, you're right. He is a little bit. He's an inch taller and about 5 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
And then but Trent was a little faster.
What was
All right,
Trent's
so let me show this.
arm length?
34.25.
Just pythons.
Yeah.
Silverback. Mr. Will
T-Mobile.
Campbell. He's like number 5 on folks' big boards. I'm seeing him here at number 6 on PFF's big board.
So he was basically coming into the college season, or coming into the draft season. Josh Simmons, a tackle for the Ohio State Buckeyes, he was like widely regarded as the best tackle, but he tore his patellar tendon, and so that's really hurt his stock. So then it was Will Campbell, who's been projected as like a top 5, top 6 pick. But then Armand Membou went crazy at the combine, and Will Campbell's arms are a little short. So it's kind of gotten flipped now, where Will Campbell's kind of projected to be the second tackle taken, and Armand Membou might be the first. So, I mean, I love seeing road grading, right? You got to be able to road grade. With the short arms, though, it's like, can you pass protect? And so far, the answer is yes, right? Ooh, through that guy.
Steven, can you see anything?
I'm just seeing, like, it's very...
Really, you guys aren't seeing this?
Very glitchy. Like,
no,
it freezes forever for me.
Considering just going along with it.
It's because I'm on my Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get to see little glimpses, little bits and pieces.
That's frustrating. Dang it. Okay, well, we'll try that another time then. It's because I'm on my damn Wi-Fi and I don't have my my Ethernet connected right now. That sucks. Sorry about that.
It's all good. Ryan, do you have a favorite offensive tackle? Like, if the Niners stood pat where they are and drafted an offensive tackle, who would be the one you would want the most?
Probably Membou, because he's a little. So too. I do have his. So he's 6'4", 330 pounds, 33.5-inch arms. Ran a 4.91 40, which is still slower than Trent. Man, Trent must have been cooking. 1.74 10-yard split, 34-inch vertical jump.
On top of that, PFF rated him as the number 5 offensive tackle in all of college football. So, like, his PFF grade and production, like, matched all his athletic feats and
Where
profile.
was Will Campbell and all that?
Oh, he's
Who are
like
the
in
top 5?
60s. Top 5 offensive tackles?
Yeah, do you have that for PFF right there?
I have. So they go Will Campbell number 1. They have Armand Membou number 2. And then they have it's Josh Simmons, number 3, Kelvin Banks, number 4,
Texas.
and then it's not showing me
Is
number
this rated
5.
right now, like for draft prospects, or is this based on their performance from last season?
This is draft prospects. It's not
Okay.
like where they rated in their PFF. This is just PFF's big board. And then number 5 is Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State.
Oh, see, I'm hearing he's going to be an interior offensive lineman, and he might be like one of the best guard prospects in the draft.
Gray Zabel.
Yeah, he could be.
Yeah.
If Niners could get him at pick 43, he could be a plug and play guard.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I'm reading, and it says that he would be great in his own scheme. It says the same thing about Armand Membou, about he projects to be an excellent blocker in his own scheme.
What's interesting about Membou, too, is if the Niners draft him, he could plug right in at right tackle, and then Colton McKivitz could go to left guard, and you've kind of just plugged 2 holes. Because I think McKivitz is probably a better guard. He said himself he struggles with the fast, twitchy, smaller edge rushers, and he's not going to have to deal with that as a guard.
Mm-hmm. Call me crazy, but I like that guy that they re-signed. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I'm kind of excited. Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what Ben Bartch can do.
Yeah, he'll be in a competition for a guard spot.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bartch, if I'm you, dude, I'm spending the next couple months snapping footballs, and I'm coming for that center position.
I'd like that a lot.
Go find some high school quarterback to snap the ball to. Snap the ball to your wife, a girlfriend, a friend. Start snapping the ball. Listen to Brock Purdy cadences on in your headphones or something, and start snapping.
When you go to sleep.
Yeah, when you go to sleep, so you can get that timing down. Well, that sucks. I wish we could watch those highlights. That sucks. Sorry about that.
Armand Membou is my guy as well. He's kind of the realistic player that I really want the Niners to draft. The only one above him is obviously like Mason Graham and
see, it's funny
Abdul
you say
Carter,
that
but
he's like the realistic choice. I don't think he is anymore.
yeah, he might.
I think him and Mason Graham are going to be long gone.
He could be, yeah.
Yeah, you might have a better shot at Will Campbell now than Membou, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't really want Will Campbell that much.
See, I do. I feel like he's more proven. I feel like I mean, there's a reason that he's number 1, that he was already regarded that way. The tape doesn't lie. I like a guy that has a little chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, he definitely does.
I am a little bit worried about the workout warrior. You know, like I don't want to overvalue that. I want to go by what has been proven. Where did Membou play?
Missouri.
Yep.
I mean,
21
Membou,
years old.
His stock definitely went up after the combine, but he was projected as a top 15, top 20 prospect.
Sure. Yeah.
But then afterward, he was like, "Oh man, he's going to go in the top 5." It's like, whoa, maybe that was a little bit much.
Steven, I have a stat for you. How much stock do you put into PFF grades?
Fair amount.
Will Campbell is graded out by PFF as the 120th offensive tackle out of 643. And Armand Membou was rated at number 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all of college football?
I believe so.
Like last season? Gosh, there's so many players in college football.
Were they just judging on arm length?
Wow.
I know.
I wonder if Campbell had a little bit of a down year, if he's been good for a couple years, but he had a down year.
That's
or
what
I wonder
I'm
what that's
thinking.
about. I wonder if, I do value PFF grades, but they're certainly not the end-all be-all for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys know my take. I still don't even want to take an offensive lineman at 11. So, but
Yeah.
it does seem like, well, here's the thing. Do you both agree that after those 2 guys that we've been talking about, there's a drop-off? Or like
At tackle?
at offensive tackle? Or would you be happy with, is it Banks out of Texas?
No. If the Niners traded back to like 20 or 25, then sure. But at 11, no.
So if both Membou and Campbell are off the board by the time the Niners pick. And Mason Graham's off the board too.
Oof.
Because
Trade
odds
back.
are they're gonna be right, like all those guys.
Kenneth
I-
Grant will be available. Probably.
Yeah, it
You
seems
guys
like a
want to
reach.
slide our tackles in here even without watching them, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, I would put both of them, in my opinion, both of them in front of Kenneth Grant, but after Mason Graham.
What about you, Jason?
I would do the same. Mason Graham's my number one.
And I'm fine because you guys both really like Membou. Yeah, put him in front of Campbell.
Gosh, I hope I'm spelling that right.
I think you did. I have it open. Membou. Yeah, you did.
Campbell.
That pretty much, yeah, sums it up. Those are the guys that I want, other than Abdul Carter. But
Honestly,
Uh,
yeah, I'm okay with that. I might even flip flop Grant and Campbell. I don't know, but I'd be okay with Campbell. That's fine. I'm gonna leave that right there. Next time we do this, I'll make sure I have a better internet connection, and I'll show you guys who might be my draft crush. Who could?
is it that
Yeah.
linebacker?
Yeah. All right. Spoiler alert. It's Jalen Walker. Yeah. He in the short term, he's starting week 1 in Dre Greenlaw's spot, and
Yeah.
on third downs, he's rushing opposite Bosa on the edge. Long term, he's Fred Warner's replacement. He's that good.
So he's got a little.
And linebacker university continues in the San Francisco 49ers.
It's Jahad Campbell's his name.
Jalen Walker,
Oh, Jalen Walker. I'm trying to
University
find him
of
on the
Georgia.
board.
Jihad Campbell is probably going to be the second, maybe the third linebacker drafted. Probably a late first, second round guy.
He's not even in the top 25 on here. Where's he projected to go?
Anywhere from 10 to probably 20, 25. I mean, he's kind of a we'll see kind of prospect, but
Mm-hmm.
if the
I
Niners
found him.
got him at 11, or even if they managed to trade back to like 13 or 14 and then get him, I would be very happy with that start to that draft.
I feel
All
like I went from feeling like they're in a great spot at 11 to now kind of feeling like,
A little bit of no man's land, maybe.
yes, exactly. Like you're going to have to reach and hope that it hits if you're trying to address a position of need.
I know
Which-
a lot of teams in this area are probably going to want to trade back, which means no one is going to want to trade up for someone. So they're probably going to take guys, because from what I've heard, it's like there's like 4 or 5 premier prospects in this draft, and then everyone from like pick 6 to pick 46 is kind of in the same tier. So at 11, it's like maybe if Shador falls, there's a quarterback desperate team that comes up. But yeah, who knows? You could be drafting a guy at 11 who would have been on the board at pick 18 or 20.
Or 28.
Yeah, so that's why they might just go, you might just grab Kenneth Grant, even though he could be a teens or a 20 guy, who knows. But if they manage to trade back, I think that would be good, because guys like Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, Jalen Walker, I think they'll all still be there, or some of them will be.
I'm going to hold out hope that either Mason Graham or Armand Membou have a miracle fall.
Hopefully
also
one
like
of them
Mike-
gets caught smoking some weed or something.
That's what I'm hoping for. I also really like Mike Green, who's an edge rusher. PFF rated him as the number 2 edge rusher. He's got a little bit of an iffy.
There's some red flags.
Yeah, there's some red flags in the character department, but it
Maybe
seems
next one
like
we'll do edge rushers. We'll get Mike Green, Mikael Williams. There's one other guy. There's a couple guys, and maybe we'll even look at Jalen Walker too.
Who's the top tight end?
The guy from Penn State. I'm drawing a
Tyler
blank on his
Warren.
Tyler
Tyler
Warren.
Warren.
Yeah,
6'6".
He's-
Holy crap.
he's getting
Well-
a lot of Rob Gronkowski comps.
What would you guys think if like all the guys that you just listed that you are interested in are gone, and he's the premier prospect that actually is still there at 11.
He might be.
Possible.
It would be a little crazy re-signing Juice, signing Luke Farrell, and then drafting that guy. I'd be like, dude, what?
Oh my goodness.
But if he ends up being something even remotely close to Gronk or the next George Kittle, for the next 10 years, then it's like, whatever, dude. Just draft great players, whatever position they play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like how the boards are coming together and what teams are actually doing. I really hope the 2 quarterbacks go and the running back out of Boise State.
Genty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really hope all those guys are gone because I'm not really interested in any of. I mean, Genty would be sweet, but I mean, come on, like ultimate luxury, right?
If the Niners drafted Genty at pick 43, I'd be okay with that.
Well, sure, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to take someone, like if someone loves Genty, maybe the Cowboys are worried the Niners will take Genty and they'll just swap from 12 to 11.
I could see them wanting Genty too. Genty gives me like some Todd Gurley vibes.
Genty says he wants to be a Cowboy. And by the way, Genty's 5'8". Todd Gurley was huge. I don't know if that's a good comp.
It might just be his hair. Reminds me of Todd
Maybe
Gurley.
Hair, but Genty's a small back. So I don't think he's going to be a top 10 pick. He's going closer to 20 than 10.
Yeah, I agree. But I do think he's going to be a really productive NFL player.
Especially if he goes later to a good team. Imagine if he goes to the Chargers at like 21.
Yeah,
I think they're around 21. Like Jim Harbaugh could love that.
Mm-hmm. His year last year was insane. If you ever bored one night, pull up YouTube and look up his highlights last year. Like literally video game. Like it's insane. No one can tackle him at all. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's almost. I'm trying to think of a comp. I'd have to watch more of him because I've seen very little. But a small guy who guys have a hard time tackling, that just makes me think of Barry Sanders, or even like LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah,
but I think even LT was bigger than him.
And Barry was not a physical guy. He just would finesse you to death.
Just couldn't touch him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ashton, I feel like he runs pretty physical though. Like he's not like skinny by any means. He's just short.
I'm going to have to actually watch him, and then I could probably come up with a better comp. I really haven't seen much other than a few clips.
All right, well, my comp's going to be Frank Gore then.
All right. Yeah, now I'm getting worried that they're going to not be able to get a good value pick at 11, unfortunately.
Well, as long as they get just a good player. It might be a guy who's projected to be in the 20, but if they just pick an awesome player, Kenneth Grant or Walter Nolan is another defensive tackle I like.
Well, there's also a lot of I've heard good things about him, just that he's kind of raw or whatever. But there's of course all kinds of speculation of them trying to find guys later, right? Like at the premier positions, but later picks, guys with upside, whatever. So you just never know how the board's going to fall and who you can end up with. And you're right, you just got to get a great player. So get who you think is the best player available. I wonder if it'll be Will Johnson. I mean, I expect him to be gone.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's the case, would they pull the trigger?
There's been a bunch of mock drafts. I've seen several recently that have mocked Jahdae. I think his name is Jahdae Barron. He's like maybe the second rated corner. Because remember, Travis Hunter is the top corner. Mm-hmm. Will Johnson and Jahdae Barron are kind of 2 and 3. He went to Texas, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him get mocked to the Niners a few times. So.
Yep. And then there's that safety, Malachi Starks,
I think.
Yeah, he's supposed to be stud-free safety.
That would be a little rich for a safety. Even Jimmy Ward at pick 20 or whatever he was like, that's rich.
They originally drafted him to be a slot guy, but yeah.
Yeah. All right.
We'll see.
We will, next time we'll do some edge rushers. And, yeah, you guys can watch Will Campbell and Membou on your own time, even though I kind of screwed that up. Sorry.
You're good. No worries.
All right. We'll call it there. Have fun in Hawaii, Jason.
Yeah, have fun.
All right.
See
Mahalo.
you
I will.
guys.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Peace out.